Well, just a countdown, 5 days, 15 hours, 29 minutes to go. How about that? The election day is coming up and there's lots on the line for Mainers, including those age 50 and over.
And here to take a closer look at the policies and talking points resonating with older generations is AARP's Maine State Director, Noël Bonam. Thank you so much for being here, Noël. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So could we start by maybe talking about from your experience, some of the policies that voters 50 plus are focused on this election cycle?
We're always surveying members, across the nation and in Maine as well. And the two issues that keep emerging, and particularly this year, are Social Security, financial security, and caregiving. So those are the major issues when we asked, all people that we surveyed, but 89% of them said that Social Security was really important to them, because that secured their future, that really ensured that they would have the kind of lives that they were planning to have. And then caregiving, on the other hand, about 70% of folks said that caregiving is really important. 1 out of 5 Americans is a caregiver. And in our state, we had 166,000 caregivers who are giving about 170,000 hours of caregiving, unpaid care to their loved ones. And there aren't enough policies supporting these folks who are leaving their jobs to take care of a family member. So that's the other big issue that kind of really at the very top. And there are a couple other smaller issues that are very important, but those I think were the prominent ones.
It has been front and center on the campaign trail. It's been to hear Donald Trump and Kamala Harris talk about that too, that topic.
And we are so happy that they are, because it really matters. I mean, older adults actually make up for most of the voter base in the nation. Older adults decide the elections. In the last general election in 2020, 59% of voters were older adults. And so these are issues that really make a big difference for the voting base, and particularly older adults. And so we're pleased to see that both candidates, presidential candidates, are talking about it.
There was a lot of concern about President Biden's age before he dropped out of the race. Do you think there are any similar concerns among older voters about Donald Trump?
I don't believe so. I think older adults really want the best candidate in the office in the White House. I think they want the candidate who will really pay attention to issues that matter to older adults. It doesn't matter how old they are, it's whether they're able to do the job, and if they are good listeners and care about issues that matter to older voters. I think it's really key.
Yeah, another poll from Pew Research Center found that bolstering the economy was the top issue for 4 out of 5 people 50 years old to 64. Do you feel there's a similar level of interest in the economy right here in Maine?
There is. I mean, pocketbook issues like utility rates, and even, for example, like I mentioned, Social Security is so much about financial security, right? And part of that kind of falls within the inflation and economic, security across the nation. And I think for a lot of people, they are paying attention to that very closely. They're concerned about how things will play out for them, beyond the election, based on the policies that, whoever the next president will be.
Housing and cost of living also been highlighted as big issues here in Maine. From your experience, do you think they're issues older voters care about as well?
True. Housing, utility rates, aging in place, are really big issues for older adults beyond Social Security and caregiving. And housing, taxes are going up. People cannot afford to live in the houses that they've built and lived in for decades. They can't find care near where they live because, places are shutting down. And they're not able to live in towns where their family members are because, we have restrictive, in some towns we have restrictive housing zoning laws. So if you kind of put all of those together, it makes it harder for an older person to live where they want for as long as they want. So housing is a big issue.
When it comes to age, I mean, the average age in Maine is the oldest in the country. Do you think this affects political campaigning here in our state and also actually getting older people out to vote, their ability to vote?
True, and I think fortunately we live in a state where we made voting really accessible. We're one of the states where we have the highest voter turnout anywhere in the country, and that's really because we have, we can vote in person, we can vote in person before election day, we can vote by mail. And so a lot of older adults do vote, and we've been working with the Secretary of State's office to make sure that people who are living in nursing homes, people who are living in independent care facilities are able to vote, that they are getting what they need. And so I think though it can be challenging for an older adult to go out and vote, we've found that in Maine it's become so accessible that a very high number of older adults are going out and voting.
And you touched on this, but in 2020, national voter turnout for those 45 to 64 stood at 65% compared to 48% for those 18 to 24. That's according to the Pew Foundation. So do you think that we'll see some similar figures this time around?
I think so. I think older adults are really interested in the outcome of this result, of this election. And so I think we're likely to see pretty significant numbers of older voters showing up to vote.
How about getting candidates, not just in the presidential election and Congress, but also the local elections too, getting people actually to come into some of, maybe some homes, senior homes and things like that, to be able to meet the people. I mean, there's only so much you can watch on television and read in papers.
Correct, and we've been doing teletown halls with all candidates where we're, getting the candidate on the phone and calling our members who want to listen to what the candidates have to say about positions, about issues that matter to them. And we've written to every single candidate who's running for office at the state and told them about the issues that matter to older adults. And we were also doing kitchen table chats with candidates so that people can learn in a very intimate setting from the candidates what their positions are. So I think it really is a matter of creating those platforms where people can actually meet with the candidates directly.
And finally, where can people learn more about AARP and your work in Maine?
Very easy. Someone can go online and look up aarp.org/Maine votes, and that's simple. It's very easy. So just if they go to aarp.org/Maine votes, they can get all the information, particularly about where, when, and how to vote. We don't tell people who to vote for, but we sure make sure that people know how, where, and when to vote.
Yeah, bottom line is, if you're 18 or over, get out and vote.
Yes.
Absolutely. It really matters.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.